Hi there, it's me Naima from English Education 2019 Class C. Well, today in this video I would like to give you explanations about the writer I have chosen from the colonial period of American literature. So let's get started. Okay, his name is OLAUDAH EQUIANO'S. Is a famous writer in the colonial period of American literature and a freed slave and supported the movement for the elimination of the pirates in Great Britain. Okay, next, biodata. Born about 1746 in Osaka. Now with Nigeria. Okay, died March 31st in 1797, age around 51-52, in Paddington Street, Westminster. Other name, Gustavus Vasa. Wife, Susanna Callan. Children, he has two daughters. They are Joanna Vasa and Anna Maria Vasa. Occupation, sailor, writer, merchant, and abolitionist. So, what is abolitionist? Abolitionist is a movement that wants to get rid of slavery in Europe and in America. Okay, in this family slide, I would like to give you some explanation or to inform you about Susanna Callan and his daughter. Okay, first is Susanna Callan. Susanna Callan was OLAUDAH EQUIANO'S wife. He was an Englishwoman of Scottish descent whom he apparently met on his book tour in Cambridgeshire in 1789. She subscribed to the 1790 and 1791 edition of his autobiography, OLAUDAH EQUIANO'S Autobiography, and may have been introduced to him by another subscriber named Peter Pickard. Susanna came from humble beginnings. Her parents, James and Anne, were people of moderate means and came from the cathedral town of Ely, also in Cambridgeshire. Her marriage was apparently seen as a respectable union, despite Vasa's former enslaved status. They were married on April 7th in 1792, which Vasa announced in the 5th edition of his autobiography. The marriage was also reported in London newspaper such as Gentleman's Magazine. Okay, next his daughter. First is Anna Maria Vasa, born on October 16, 1793, died July 21st, 1797. She died around age 4 years. Okay. Next is Joanna Vasa, born on April 11th in 1795 and died in March 10th in 1857. Slide creation or works. OLAUDAH EQUIANO'S has so much works, but I chose his autobiography because he famous because his autobiography. Okay, before we enter to the chapter by chapter, this is the opening of his autobiography. Equiano opens his narrative with an explanation of his struggle to write memoirs. He empathized with the difficulties the writer of the memoirs was having. He explained that they often have to defend themselves against people who question their work. He apologized to his early reader for not having a compelling story or the most interesting story, but hopes it helps other slaves in his position. He declared, "I'm not a saint, a hero, a tyrant." Okay, in the chapter 1, he began his story with a description of his homeland or his hometown and the district in which he was born. He was born in the kingdom of Benin. Benin is part of Guinea. He detailed his district, Eboy, now Nigeria. Okay, next, chapter 2. Equiano described how he and his sister were kidnapped and forced to travel with their captors temporarily until their 2 children were separated. Okay, in the chapter 3, one day, a man named Michael Henry Pascal came to the Lord's house wanting to buy Equiano. He paid 30 euro to 40 euro for him, and Equiano left to work on the ship. He prefers to live by the sea because his shipmates are better to him and he eats better than before. He changed his name again to Gustavus Beza, even though he didn't like his name. He didn't mean it, so he wouldn't be punished. On the ship, he developed a friendship with a man named Richard Baker. Richard becomes an escort and translator for Equiano, who doesn't understand the language spoken by everyone on the plane. He became very close to the Richard and grieved greatly when Richard left for his family in 1759. Okay, chapter 4. It is now 2 or 3 years since Equiano first came to England. He spent most of his time at sea. He didn't mind the work he was doing and spent so much time there that he almost considered himself British. He can speak English politely and he can understand everything that is said to him. Chapter 5. Equiano met another servant named Valando while working for his master, and he quickly became a big part of his life. He taught him various things such as religion, education, and how to draw. Equiano looked at him almost like a father and tried to repay him with a sugar or tobacco whenever he could afford it. The ship left for London in December because they heard talks about peace and the end of the war. When they got there, his master handed it over to Captain Doran, even though he didn't want to leave. Chapter 6 opens with Equiano explaining that he had witnessed many evil and just incidents as a slave. He tells of a specific event that took place in 1763. In chapter 7, Equiano is getting closer and closer to buying his freedom with the money he saves from selling things. Okay, in the last chapter, the chapter 8, Equiano expressed his desire to return to England. He repeatedly dreamed about a falling ship, and on the 3rd night of his journey, his nightmare came true. I think that's enough of my explanation, and this is the last slide of my PowerPoint on this video. So if you want to know more detail about OLAUDAH Equiano information of his story life, you can follow or click this link. Thank you so much for attention, and bye for now.